So I know that I am conscious, but I only know one level, one dimension of consciousness.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes when you drink a little too much, you
Well,
get to a
okay,
second level.
I might have two, maybe three on the outset, but how are there 9 levels of consciousness?
Yeah. Oh, I love what you said. Yes, you are consciousness. We are all consciousness. Consciousness for me is all there is. I mean, some people call it the source, God, the universe. Everything is consciousness having some experience. So you are consciousness having the experience of Will Rodriguez, and I am consciousness having the experience of Will Caminada. Karen is consciousness having that experience of Karen. And a dog is consciousness having that experience of dog. So essentially, consciousness is just having experiences through many different dimensions, times, and space. So when you think of consciousness traveling through time and space, through dimensions, universes, planet, even Mother Earth is a being of consciousness having that experience of Mother Earth, then there are different levels to that consciousness. So when you think of a rock, for example, a rock is also consciousness, but it's a low level of consciousness. And when I say low, I don't necessarily mean negative. It's just that it's vibrating at a lower density.
Sure.
And us as human beings, we are multi-dimensional beings, just as we are. And just the fact that we think, we have thoughts, and we have emotions, we feel emotions. So that tells us that we are more than just physical beings, right? Even our inner body, we could see our inner body as our inner dimensions, if you will. And so when we're expressing or experiencing thoughts or feelings, this is also a layer of our multidimensionality, because you can't necessarily see thoughts or you can't necessarily see feelings. They are manifested sometimes as a laughter or as a cry, but we can't see these layers. So that's when we start exploring the subtle layers of our multidimensionality. But then we also have our spirit self. We are also beings of frequency. We are also sacred geometry. So these are all different layers of our consciousness.
Whoa.
So do these 9 layers or levels, do they kind of exist on the same plane, or are you trying to get to the next one and rise,
Ascend.
Yeah, that's a great question, because from our linear mind, we tend to see things as layers, as next steps, or separate, or we think that they're separated the same way that we think that we are separate, but we're actually all interconnected, because we're all energy, we're all one. So if I'm a sparkle of that one consciousness, and you are a sparkle of that one consciousness too, so we are all connected, right? But they're not as linear as it seems to us. So you're not necessarily layering them as in we have to get to the next step of our evolution, because they are already available. But from a linear perspective, yes, we are moving through those dimensions of consciousness. Essentially, humans have been working through or living under just one dimension, which is the 3D. And the 3D is not necessarily negative or bad, but is limited when you think that you are a multidimensional being. So there is more than just flesh and bones. There's more than just this physical earth, right? So collectively, we're expanding our consciousness and awakening to that reality and realities, that we are more than just human beings, even though the humanness in us is also a part of our multidimensionality. And it's an aspect too that sometimes we disregard or take for granted, especially if you are a starseed or a light worker, an empath, and you just feel like your home is in the stars, then you might not be comfortable in this body or in this planet. But actually, it is part of our multidimensionality too. Our humanness is as much as part of our multidimensionality as our spirit.
Okay, so you help people work through these 9 levels. Not work through, but get in touch with the 9 levels or 9 dimensions, right? Is there ever a way to become fully conscious or fully aware of all 9 levels at the same time?
Yes. You are experiencing all these 9 dimensions now. You just need to be aware of them. So I'll give an example. So, like I said, when you're thinking and you're feeling your emotions, you're experiencing a 4D, so a fourth dimensional level of awareness. Because the fourth dimension is all about the collective mind and emotions. So in us, that's how we experience the fourth dimension, right? So I always try to bring the macro into the micro. So I actually just want to preface this by saying that when we think of multidimensionality, most of us think of that macrocosmic perspective, right? Because we think of the stars or the Big Bang and the galaxies. And yes, it's that too, but everything that's happening in the macrocosmos, it's happening within us because we are the universe manifested into this being. So everything that's happening with Mother Earth, it's happening within us too, right? So Mother Earth has her second dimension, which is her inner world. So nature and elements, everything that's happening under the ground, that's what we call the telluric realm. So that's her second dimension. And equally, we have that too in us. And it works with Mother Earth. Like our gut is an example of that, right? It's like our soil that grows things, right? And digests things too and transforms into energy. So this is also an example of how we're experiencing the second dimension without doing anything. So you just become aware of it. And so when we bring that macrocosmic perspective into our selves, then we start realizing that we are layered beings, and these layers are represented by our multidimensionality. So when we are experiencing thoughts and feelings, we're experiencing the fourth dimension. When we are moving our bodies, just being here in this linear time and space that is 3D, we're experiencing the 3D. Collectively, we are moving into the 5D. And the 5D is the realm of love and unity consciousness and oneness, right? So this is what we experience collectively, but also within us, because it all starts within us. So when we awaken, when we start healing, when we start expanding our consciousness, when we open our hearts, we activate our heart chakras, that's when we start loving ourselves. So that's an example of you experiencing 5D consciousness, having compassion, having forgiveness for yourself first, so that you can extend that into others and seeing everyone as an extension of yourself. That is an experience of 5D consciousness.
So those first, 2 through 5 make sense to me. I'm really curious about 6 through 9.